Week 2 for the Illinois Fighting Illini as they take on the Kansas Jayhawks. Nope, we're not talking about basketball. We're talking about football. Illinois is going to go take on Kansas in football at Kansas on Friday night at 6:30 p.m. It will be on ESPN for everybody to watch. Both teams are 1-0, and we're going to discuss the preview for this game, Illinois versus Kansas. Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow it right on Apple and iTunes. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Check out all the other episodes and check out all the affiliates in the description below. So Kansas will be hosting our Illinois Fighting Illini on Friday Night Football. What's the thought process here? Do we like Friday night college football games? I personally don't, because I'm a high school football coach. We have games on Friday nights, so we're not able to enjoy those games. Maybe late night games after our games are over. I'm not a big fan of them. I know other people like them because it gives them an extra day to prepare for their next team, but it also gives you less of a day to prepare for this one. So when Illinois was done playing Saturday, they had a quick turnaround to play on a Friday night. I personally do not like Friday night college football games. I think they're meant for Saturdays. Saturdays are for college football. Fridays are for high school. That's just my opinion. I know Coach Bielema said he loves them. That's what he thinks. This is what I think. But we're moving on. Illinois versus Kansas. They are both 1-0. Both got wins last week. Illinois, we already talked about their game versus Toledo. Kansas got the win over Missouri State 48-17. And we're going to discuss keys of the game for Illinois to get the win over Kansas. For Kansas, they scored a lot in the fourth quarter. This was a closer game than 48-17. So for Kansas, it was 7-7 at the end of the first. Kansas scores 10 in the second, while Missouri State only scored 3. Then in the third, Kansas scores 10. Then in the fourth, they score 21 compared to Missouri State's 7. So, I mean, you're looking at 17-10 at halftime. It's a close game. And then Missouri State just got outmatched versus Kansas. They had a great season last year. Their offense played pretty well. Being for them, their quarterback, 22 of 20 for 276 yards and 2 touchdowns. Neal for rushing yards had 94 yards rushing and a touchdown. Arnold, the receiver, the leading receiver, had 77 yards. They just did not look pretty overall in this win. And we already talked about Illinois. You want to talk about Kansas, they did not look beautiful in this win. But not a lot of teams early on in week 1, nobody is going to look perfect. They're not going to look 100% clean because it's fall camp. They have been going against each other. This is the first time in week 1 that they go against another team. We saw what Illinois looked like. There was good. There was some bad. Same thing with Kansas. It's exactly the same thing. A key matchup in this game that we're going to talk about for Kansas and Illinois. Kansas pass defense shows some struggles versus Missouri State. The Missouri State quarterback, I mean, he had 143 yards passing. He had 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions, but only threw the ball 21 times. But the times he did, man, they were able to get the ball. There were some missed opportunities for Missouri State, but they struggled at times to win. And, Missouri State's an FCS program. They're not a Division I or a Power 5 program. For Luke Altmyer, they're going to have to take advantage of that pass defense. He had 211 yards passing last week, 2 touchdowns, and he ran for a score. I think that's going to be the ultimate thing. Illinois proved against Toledo they can pass the ball. I think the big key here, when you want to talk about scoring points, Luke Altmyer versus that pass defense, but also our wide receivers. Can they get open like they did versus Toledo? Can they still make those big catches like they did versus Toledo? And I said that at the beginning. We have to watch the quarterback play, obviously, but I'm really going to look at the receiver group. The receiver group has to step up. One of the things missing last year from that Illinois offense, who's going to be the guy that we're going to throw the ball up to, or guys like who are the 2 guys that we can look to when it's 3rd and 2, maybe it's 3rd and 5, whoever it is. We got to make a big play. We got to be able to throw the ball up. We have to be able to put pressure on their pass defense. Who was going to be that person? Everybody kept saying Isaiah Williams. but this was really the the most true time that he was going to be a receiver. His is speed. His is short game speed. They were all going to look at him. Okay, now what? Who else are you going to look towards? And I think Illinois proved with the accuracy of Luke Altmaier, with how hard we were running routes, how much more confident the receivers looked, getting the tight end involved. The pass game showed. And I think Coach Beal is going to be a person that wants to run the football, but he's also a person that's not stupid. And if that's the strength of this team, they're going to figure out how to throw the ball. So a big key for that is Luke Altmaier and the Illinois receivers versus a Kansas defense of backs, the secondary that struggled at times versus Missouri State. Now, Kansas is going to fix some of it. They have some film on Illinois. But if Illinois can come out and do those type of things, that's going to help open the run game up even more, which leads to how does the trenches for Illinois bounce back after that Toledo game? We expected so much out of this Illinois team. We got to realize it's game one. Toledo's still a Division I program. They won the MAC. Our offensive line had good moments. They just didn't have the moments that we had predicted coming in, and they know that. They know that. They did not fully play to their potential. They did a lot of good things. We're not taking that away. They did their job, but they know they could have done more. That's how that locker room is. That's how they project into their, if you want to call it culture, to their standard. That is what they're doing. I'm curious to see how that offensive line bounces back, saying we're going to take out our aggression on Kansas. We got to see an actual team. It was a good defensive line versus Toledo. How are they going to combat against Kansas defensive line? And they got to take advantage. They got to take advantage of the way Kansas plays in the Big 12, how they have to guard these spread offenses. If we can be physical with them and move the football, that pass game will help open up the run game, play actions. I think really running that inside zone to the wide zone is going to be huge. That's going to be a big key. The other side of the trenches is how does the NFL defensive line go against Kansas offensive line? Because reports are saying that Jalen Daniels, who was the Big 12 Player of the Year, he took more reps this week. It has not been said if he was going to start or not, but he could possibly play the Big 12 Player of the Year. Everybody's going to be freaking out about that, but it's going to be his first game back as well. So if Illinois can pressure him, get a couple hits on him, make him uncomfortable, and back of game one, you have an opportunity to do so. And I think that defensive line is going to hear that message all week. How does the trenches do that? That NFL defensive line is going to have to get pressure on Daniels or whoever plays quarterback. I also think you're going to see a more disciplined defense in that they're not going to have those penalties. 10 penalties for 100 yards, not going to cut it. How fast that the secondary was and our corners and safeties is going to play into our advantage versus Kansas because they do want to throw the ball around. I see them playing much better because this is the first game where they could really see what type of man can we play, or do we have to be more of a zone? And you saw a mixture of both. So I think they're going to start to be able to disguise some things and say, okay, we showed you on film we could play man, but we also played some more zone than we did last year. We're going to line up differently. We're going to disguise it better. We're going to make plays on the football. We're going to line up a little bit differently to make sure that if guys are faster than us that we're in positions to make the play, that's what we're going to see the defensive secondary look like. And we got to stop comparing the defense to last year. It's not going to be the defense of last year. It's not going to be exactly the same. They're not going to make the same type of plays. That was all last year. All those things are going to be improved for this Illinois team. This Kansas team, though, was very well coached. They're very disciplined. They're very confident in what they're doing. This is going to be a close game. This is not going to be, I don't believe, Kansas blowing out Illinois. I don't believe Illinois blowing out Kansas. It's going to come down to who's going to make the least amount of mistakes and who's going to take care of the football and capitalize on what the other opponent's defense is giving them. So if Illinois drops open wide passes, they're going to be in a bad spot. If they miss a block, they're going to be in a bad spot. Same thing for Kansas. If they're dropping wide open passes, more confidence towards Illinois. They're missing blocks and the quarterback's getting pressured, more points to win for Illinois. And this is the real big test for both of these teams as they're knocking the rust off from fall camp into playing a actual season. And I do think you're going to see Illinois not have their same miscues on defense. Realize we had a first time defensive play caller. They're trying to figure out what type of defense they are. They have a bunch of new different pieces. So I am very excited to see what that's going to look like and from the building of it from week 1 into week 2. And they already had the preparation for it. And that was talked about how they had to prepare for Kansas. They had to practice versus Toledo, but they also had to start game planning and practice certain things for Kansas because they lost time playing on Saturday night. You're not going to make them practice Sunday besides some notes. Maybe not even Monday hit, but then you got to hit Tuesday. You got to do something Wednesday. Thursday, you don't want to do anything. Then you got to play Friday night. So that could have been a mixture of things there for the Toledo game as well. But for that preparation for Kansas trying to get ahead, I think that will help Illinois in the long run. I foresee, of course, I'm an Illinois fan, just how much more physical I think Illinois is going to be, how much more improved the receivers are, and then our quarterback that is actually very mobile and can run and do those things. And I also think all that stuff happens. The running backs are going to play better because it's going to open up the run. They start getting blocks. They get a couple big plays of 5+ yards. They're going to get very confident. And you're going to start seeing these different backs get rotated around. And it's going to put pressure on that defense. You have the big bruiser in. Do you have the right personnel in to go with that? With the different packages that Illinois does, especially the up-tempo offense. Now you have a speedster in there. Do you have the right personnel group in there for that? What kind of formations are they doing? Is it a screen for him? Those type of things are going to come into play for Kansas on their defense. And I just think Luke Altmaier is going to be way more comfortable in the offense. They're all going to be way more comfortable coming in. They're going to fix their mistakes. And so I just see that's how the keys for Illinois going to win. And I think they will. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. It's not going to be a blowout by any stretch by either team. They're going to compete. It's going to be hard hitting. It's going to be a fun time. And you don't usually say about Illinois, going to Kansas football, but they did it. They did a great job turning around last year. I think that it's going to be a very fun game. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. Like and subscribe. Follow and rate on Apple and iTunes. Check out all the affiliate description below. Check out all the other episodes on the YouTube channel. There's something out there for everybody. Thank you guys again, and we will see you guys next time.